What's going on, everybody? It's Ricky with Videohomicide, back with day 3 of the 31 Days of Horror 2022 edition. Today, we're talking about a classic of my childhood. We got 1995's Tales from the Hood, okay, which is an anthology film, which basically, if you're unaware with anthology films, those are movies that are, compiled of short films, basically, and usually with a wraparound segment. So, Tales from the Crypt, Vault of Horror, Asylum, Chillerama. Like, even Snoop Dogg has a horror anthology called Hood of Horror, which actually isn't that bad. It's not as shitty as it might sound. Snoop Dogg has been involved with a few horror things. Bones was another one. But this movie, Tales from the Hood, directed by Rusty Cundiff, who appears as one of the actors in one of the segments of the movies. Now, this is a film that I first discovered. So when I was pretty damn young, I would probably say 10, 11 years old, when I would see something scary or fucked up looking on tape, or even on DVD for that matter, I would buy it for my dad, because a lot of this collection came from him. Not so much the DVDs, a lot of the tapes, but I remember seeing this film on VHS. I still have it, and I said, Tales from the Hood, like, what is this? So I bought it for like 50 cents at this thrift store. I still remember where the thrift store was. It is now a Chinese restaurant, okay? Not a bad Chinese restaurant from what I've heard. I've never had it, but I throw this film in with my dad, and we immediately fell in love. Even just by the opening credits, you get this amazing sort of, how Batman 89 opened, how it was like shots of the logo. Well, this was like shots of a skull with like a gold teeth, or gold tooth, and a gun, and a bandana, and he's just a bad motherfucker. The movie starts off like any other Hood film, with like some dudes rolling around at night, and these 3 dudes go to this mortuary where this funeral director has informed them somehow, I don't know how, that he's got some shit that he found in the alley, and they think that it's drugs. So they're going there to get the drugs from this funeral director, who proceeds to tell the boys these 3 stories. And I love the banter between the 3 guys. Like, we gonna get the shit and get the fuck out of there. Now pass me that motherfucking chronic. And like, they're smoking weed and all that shit. I just love it. I love how the main heavy of those guys is like the dude from Menace to Society at the end that like got his ass kicked by fucking god damn it, I don't even really remember the dudes' names. In Kane was one of them. Kane, and I forget the dude's name, but he's played by Lorenz Tate. And crazy fucking insane badass dude. But anyways, these 3 dudes go into the funeral home, and they're greeted by Clarence Williams III, who is just an amazing actor, been in tons of stuff over the years. I love him. Probably my 2 favorite roles of his is Tales from the Hood, and I love him as Samson in Half-Baked, where he plays this like kingpin, this drug kingpin dude. But anyways, the first story that's told is the story of this police officer along with his partner. They witness some police brutality, and it ended up with the guy who's the victim. He gets killed and drugs planted on him. He was like a Martin Luther King kind of guy, and all this shit was planted on him. And the rookie cop, who is a black guy, he's got such a distaste for what happened. He's seen his fellow officers do, so he ends up going and just leaving the force and turning into an alcoholic. And then he starts hearing voices from the grave, which is the exact way how Clarence Williams III tells the boys in the funeral home. He's like, he started hearing voices from the grave. Clarence, like all that shit. So he ends up getting these 3 cops rounded up and takes them to the grave of this guy, this political figure. And the 2 of the cops end up pissing on the grave. And like one of my favorite lines is, hey Benny, it's looking a little dry over here. Why don't you come piss with me? And the guy's like, no, I just took a piss before we left. And then the big bad guy looks at his partner and he goes, piss. Like, it's so fucking crazy. And Buddy starts pissing on the grave, and then a hand comes up, grabs his wiener, and then it's on. So now it's a chase between these 2 other cops and Clarence. I love this. I love how it kills, or I love how it ends. The story ends. One of my favorite scenes is when they're driving. The 2 police officers are driving away, and they're like, how the fuck is this guy still behind us? And then the one cop goes, I don't fucking know, man. Love that shit. And I love the ending where the final cop, who was Clarence's partner, is like totally gone insane, running down an alley. There's all these junkies, and then the political figure guy, he ends like uses his magic to lift all these needles off the ground and basically crucify this asshole cop to a wall covered in graffiti, and it just turns into graffiti, and like there's a lot of cool stop motion shit happening there. Like I think that's probably my favorite story of the film, and I kind of wish they ended with that one because I think it's just so fucking awesome. But moving on to the next story, we got a story of domestic abuse where this little kid is being terrorized by this monster who is in turn his uncle, and he uses this I guess a euphemism of monster to relate with his uncle. And at school, his teacher, played by Rusty Cundiff, like notices his bruises and stuff like that, and ends up going to visit with the mother. And then they have this showdown with the uncle, the monster. And like it's one of the best reveals where like you hear this asshole guy going up the stairs, and it sounds like a monster. And then the door opens, and it's just like a regular guy's arm holding a piece of paper. And you know, the little kid was told that if he draws something and then rips it up or burns it, whatever happens will go away. So he did it with a bully. It happened. He did it with the uncle. And but before the uncle gets his demise, I love how he comes up the stairs and he goes, "You like to draw fucked up pictures of people, huh?" He's like, "You want to make me look like a monster?" And he has, when it says that, he has like a tattoo on his arm that says monster. So like in my idea, in my brain, like basically this guy was, you know, a gangbanger, gangster back in his day called Monster, and is just a cocksucker that beats up his sister and her kid, which is totally foul. But that one has the most, what I would say, kind of goofiness kill or ending to it, where this picture of the monster is scrunched up, and then, you know, the guy's like laying on the ground, you see his face, and then stepped on and burnt and all that shit. But really good story, very heavy duty in terms of reality, because there's a lot of that type of domestic abuse happening. Like, I think all the stories in this movie, all four of them, well, five really, well, maybe not the wraparound, but they all have something to do with, you know, black culture or black history, which I think is very interesting, because especially in the last, like, what, 5, 6, 7 years, like, there's been a big movement, like all the protests and all that kind of stuff, getting shit out in the limelight that needed to be out in the limelight. We'll leave it at that. But the next story is about this greasy political figure, this guy who's running for governor. I believe he's running for president, either president or governor, and he sets up his office in this former plantation. And he actually used to be a former Klansman himself, who has his like public relations guy is like a black dude, and like, but the black dude is sort of like an Uncle Tom kind of guy, you know what I mean? Like he's just there because he wants this guy to win. And there's like a really good line, which this is not me trying to be racist, but I have to say the line because it's fucking hilarious to me. But you know, the political guy, the governor dude, and his public relations guy are talking about how they're gonna make this video. And he goes, "Well, you know, the only spooks I care about are the ones with guns." And spooks referring to like these spooky incidences, but also being a racist word for black people. But later on, when that political figure, public relation guy gets killed, the governor's interviewed by this black woman, and he goes, "The only spooks I'm afraid of," like he's about to say the phrase that his friend said, and he's like, "Are you spooky reporters?" Like, love that shit. And I love this old man who's like saying all this shit. He's like, you know, the dolls want reparations, like all these little dolls that are supposedly within the house. And then we actually get introduced to one of these little dolls who is basically came out of a painting. The doll's physical body was in the house, but his spirit came from this painting of this like Haitian woman with all these little dolls. And then, you know, our political governor guy, he ends up shooting one of them. Very racist, I will add, but hilarious scene where he puts the doll up on a dartboard and shoots him in the balls. He's like, "I'm gonna blow your little black balls off." All that shit, heavy duty stuff. But great ending too, where all these dolls sort of get to kill this former Klansman. I thought very sort of cathartic, or whatever word you want to use there. I'm unsure, to be honest with you. But our final story is probably my second favorite. That's the one with Crazy K, who's this gangbanger who, you know, he's got one of the best intros, I think, next to like Quint in Jaws, where he's like rolling down the street listening to Spice One, and like everything about that is so like 1990. If you took the supernatural aspect away from that short film, like that short segment, they could have stretched that out into something really fucking cool, even with the supernatural shit, it's awesome. Or like, you know, the mind altering stuff. Like this is the segment I kind of compare to Clockwork Orange, where, you know, a guy's basically told like, hey, if you do this experimental bullshit, you're gonna get out however long sooner, whatever the fuck. And he goes through all these different things where the scariest thing that he goes through is like, other than being put in a cage right next to like this clan member, but he gets put in this chair and like lowered into this hole, and he starts seeing all these visions of you know, people that he's killed, and like, you know, they come up to him and he's like, Crazy K, it's like, you know, you shot me, why? And the guy's like, you're ripping me off, you know, but all that kind of shit. And then there's this other guy like, we didn't even kill your homie, blah blah blah. And then a little girl comes walking out. She's like, I was just playing in my room, and a bullet from your gun came through the wall and killed her. And the guy's like, Crazy K goes, bullet ain't got no name on it. And I fucking love that shit. But really good ending to that segment, which leads into the end of the film, where Crazy K was actually killed by the 3 gang members that came into the funeral home, and they realized that Clarence Williams III is actually the devil, and they are now in hell. And I love it. I fucking love this movie. I think if you've never seen it, it's definitely well worth to be sought out. I believe, well, I know that Scream Factory put out a Blu-ray of it maybe 5 years ago tops, but I have got this old HBO release. I bought it at a horror convention years ago. I paid $25 for it because that's when it was like, you know, you couldn't find Tales from the Hood. Like, it was always super fucking overpriced, but like $30 for a tape or like $25 for the DVD, it's like, god damn. But glad I own the film. Really cherish the memory of me finding that in a thrift store and taking it to my dad's and it being like really good. So that happened quite a few times in my life. I remember buying Freddy vs. Jason on VHS from 7-Eleven and bringing it home, and me and my dad watched it. I had actually seen it in theater, but when me, my cousin, and my aunt went to that movie in theater, Freddy vs. Jason, and we were like 5 minutes late, and the place was packed. I remember that. I was like, god damn. But, you know, it was cool to take that home and show my dad that, because my dad like fucking goes to the movie theater once every 10 years. Last movie we saw together was Malignant, which was okay, you know what I mean? But nothing really else has came out in the last little while that I want to see. I did watch X, which is okay. It was decent. I don't think it was like, my fucking socks were not blown off. You know, I liked the whole sort of homages to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but other than that, I was like, but that's that. Anyways, I appreciate everybody for watching the video. Make sure you leave a 666 in the comments. I hope you're having a happy and safe Halloween. Keep it clean, keep it clean, keep it green. Be in the scene. Adios. Thanks for watching.